Another standout is Mama Sang a Song. Originally a hit for Bill himself in 1962, it's a heartfelt tribute to the power of faith and family. It tells the story of a poor family whose mother's singing filled their home with a richness that money couldn't buy. For an artist like Gene Watson, who grew up singing in church, this song was a perfect fit. He understood its message on a gut level. When Watson recorded it, he brought his signature sincerity to the track, giving it a powerful, emotive tone that made it a moving testament to the values both men shared. This highlights something crucial about their relationship. Watson wasn't just chasing hits. He was looking for songs that felt true, and in Bill Anderson's songbook, he found a kindred spirit. In a candid moment on Larry's Country Diner, Watson admitted to Anderson, "It always bothered me a lot because, you've written some of the biggest songs that's ever been recorded. And I always figured, well, there was somebody a little bit bigger that you'd rather have the song." Anderson's response says it all. He waved it off, stressing that he was just looking for the right artist. The unspoken truth was that for a certain kind of song, one that needed pure, uncut country soul, there was no voice bigger or better than Gene Watson's. The master craftsman knew his work was safe in the hands of the master vocalist. To really see the genuine warmth between Bill Anderson and Gene Watson, you just have to pull up a chair at Country's Family Reunion. The TV series, hosted by Bill, wasn't some slick awards show. It was a gathering of legends in a relaxed setting, sharing stories and singing songs. It was a living, breathing archive of country music history, straight from the people who made it. The format was simple: a circle of chairs and Bill Anderson at the center, gently guiding the conversation. In this room, the walls came down and you saw the easy camaraderie of old friends. It was here that the deep respect between Anderson and Watson became clear to everyone. Gene Watson was a frequent guest, and his performances were always a highlight. When it was Gene's turn to sing, a hush would fall over the other legends on stage. Artists would literally turn in their chairs to watch him, a clear sign of the reverence they had for his talent. He was the singer that other singers stopped to listen to. The interactions between Anderson and Watson were always marked by mutual admiration. Bill would introduce Gene with the highest praise, letting the audience know they were about to see a master at work. After one of Watson's stunning performances, Anderson looked at him and said with pure sincerity, "It's such an honor to have you sing something that I wrote." This wasn't just talk for the cameras, it was a genuine expression of respect from one Hall of Famer to another. Anderson, the songwriter, saw his work given its fullest expression by Watson, the singer. The Country's Family Reunion shows became the public face of their private respect, a friendship built not in boardrooms, but in the shared love of a song well written and a note perfectly sung. In music, there are all kinds of awards. Gold. Records, platinum albums, shiny trophies. But there's another honor, one that's never handed out at a ceremony, but might be the most valuable of all. It's the title of a singer's singer, and it's the title that best defines Gene Watson. So, what does that really mean? It's a term saved for a handful of vocalists whose talent is so undeniable that other singers, the people who live and breathe the craft, are in awe of them. It's about having a level of skill and emotional depth that transcends fame or chart numbers. It's about purity of tone, perfect pitch, and an ability to get to the very soul of a lyric. Gene Watson fits that description perfectly. His peers have long marveled at his octave-jumping range and his smooth, powerful delivery. As one profile puts it, if you ask any number of country singers who their favorite singer is, a large number of them will respond, Gene Watson. That's the ultimate peer review. Now think about this from Bill Anderson's perspective. He's a master of language. For a man like him to give that kind of praise to Watson is the highest compliment possible. When Anderson says Watson is one of everybody's favorite singers, he isn't just talking about the fans, he's talking about the legends sitting right there on stage with him. This isn't a new opinion for Bill. Years ago, on his website, a fan asked if he'd ever work with Gene Watson. Bill's answer was simple. I think every singer in the world would like to team up with Gene, and why not? His is one of the best voices ever. That statement reveals a deep, long-standing respect. For Watson's part, he's always been humbled by the title. He's a man who seems almost unaware of his own greatness, a humble servant to the song. And that's precisely why the respect from a peer like Bill Anderson means so much. Bill Anderson and Gene Watson built their careers in one era of country music and have lived to see it change dramatically. The rise of pop country and arena rock. Sensibilities pushed the traditional sounds they loved to the margins. Many artists from their generation either faded away or tried to change with the times. Bill and Gene chose a different path. They became guardians of the flame. Gene Watson did it with his sound. He simply refused to stop being country. His albums kept the steel guitar and fiddle front and center, and he kept seeking out songs with lyrical depth. He became a living, linked to the genre's hallowed past, not as a throwback, but as a proud continuation of a vital tradition. Bill Anderson's role as a guardian was just as crucial. He did it with his pen. As Nashville chased younger audiences, Bill kept writing real stories. His incredible second wind as a songwriter in the 90s and 2000s, writing huge hits for artists like George Strait and Kenny Chesney, proved that there was still a massive appetite for a great story. He reminded a new generation of the enduring power of a great song. Their shared legacy is one of preservation. It wasn't some grand plan, it was a shared purpose. They were two veterans holding the line, making sure the soul of country music didn't get lost in the shuffle. The respect they have for each other is rooted in this common cause. Anderson respected Watson for being the unwavering voice of tradition. Watson respected Anderson for being the wellspring of songs that mattered. Their work together was part of a larger, unspoken mission to remind the world what country music is at its very best. The stories and songs of artists like Bill Anderson and Gene Watson are the bedrock of country music. Their dedication has kept the heart of the genre beating for decades. What's your favorite Gene Watson song or your favorite Bill Anderson-penned classic? Let us know in the comments below. We love reading about the songs and memories that mean the most to you. And if you love hearing the stories behind the music and celebrating the legends of country, be sure to subscribe and join our community. There are always more stories to tell. In the end, the story of Bill Anderson and Gene Watson isn't about drama or conflict. It's something much rarer and more meaningful. It's a quiet, decades-long story of deep and unwavering respect between two masters of their craft. It's a story told in album liner notes, in a heartfelt introduction on a TV stage, and in the soulful delivery of a perfect song. It's the story of a master songwriter who, after writing for a galaxy of stars, still treasures the moments his words were brought to life by a singer he considers one of the all-time greats. And it's the story of a revered vocalist who, despite his own immense talent, stayed humble and always looked for a song that spoke to the heart. Their connection is a powerful reminder of what's at the core of country music's greatest traditions: community, authenticity, and a deep reverence for the song itself. So when Bill Anderson at 87 years old opens up about Gene Watson, it's more than just an anecdote. It's a lesson. A lesson in artistry, in humility, and in the enduring power of a pure country song, from the one who writes the stories the world needs to hear, to the one who sings them in a way the world will never forget. In the history of country music, certain names just stick with you, like the last few notes of a pedal steel on a quiet night. Bill Anderson is one of those names. They call him Whisperin' Bill, a man whose pen has written the soundtrack for generations, and whose soft-spoken style hides the power of his words. For over 60 years, he's been a constant, a member of the Grand Ole Opry since 1961, and a force on the charts for an incredible 7 decades straight. Then there's Gene Watson, a voice out of Texas, as pure and strong as the state is wide. When Watson hit the national scene in the mid-'70s, his sound was unapologetically country. As trends came and went, his voice was an anchor, tying everything back to the honky-tonk traditions of George Jones and Ray Price. He wasn't just a singer. He was a standard-bearer for music that was honest, traditional, and true. These two men, both titans in their own right, have walked parallel paths for decades. One, the master, storyteller from Nashville. The other, the Texas vocalist who could find the deepest emotion in any song. Their careers have been woven together in ways big and small, built on a foundation of quiet, mutual respect. It's a relationship that's rarely made headlines, a connection felt more in the music than in interviews. But some stories just get better with age. After all these years, you might think you know everything about a legend like Bill Anderson. But there's one relationship, one profound artistic admiration that he's rarely discussed with this kind of honesty. At 87 years old, Bill Anderson is finally opening up about the one and only Gene Watson. What he has to say isn't a story of rivals, but one of pure reverence that has quietly defined their journey in country music. To get the full picture, you have to understand the men themselves. James William Anderson III, born in South Carolina but raised in Georgia, was a wordsmith from day one. With a journalism degree, he had a special knack for crafting a story that would stick. While working as a DJ at just 19 years old, he wrote a song on a hotel rooftop in Commerce, Georgia. That song, City Lights, was recorded by Ray Price and shot to #1 in 1958. It was the key that unlocked Nashville for the young man they'd soon call Whisperin' Bill. His own hits like Still, a Po' Folks, and Mama Sang a Song showcased his breathy conversational style, which stood out among the booming voices of the time. But his biggest impact, arguably, came from his songwriting. He wrote for everyone. Connie Smith's Once a Day, Lefty Frizzle's Saginaw, Michigan, and countless hits for stars like Kenny Chesney, George Strait, and Vince Gill all came from his pen. He landed in the Country Music Hall of Fame, the Songwriters Hall of Fame, and was the first country songwriter ever to get the BMI Icon Award. Bill Anderson wasn't just in the country music business. He helped build the whole thing. Meanwhile, down in Palestine, Texas, Gary Gene Watson was finding his own gift. Born in 1943, he grew up singing in church, soaking in the sounds of his dad's blues harmonica and the honky-tonk cries of Lefty Frizzell. For years, music was just a part of his life, not his job. Watson fixed cars for a living, a trade he never entirely left behind, and played clubs around Houston at night, paying his dues far from the Nashville spotlight. Then, 1975 happened. A song he'd recorded for a small regional label, Love in the Hot Afternoon, got picked up by Capitol Records. It soared to #3 on the charts, and suddenly, the rest of the country knew what Texas already did. Gene Watson had one of the best voices around. Hits like Paper Rosie, Farewell Party, and the #1 smash 14 Karat Mind cemented his place. He was seen as an heir to the traditional country throne, his sound defined by weeping steel guitar and mournful fiddle. He didn't chase trends, he set a standard. In doing so, he earned a title that might mean more than any award. His peers started calling him the singer's singer. So you have two men on two different paths. One was the Nashville insider, the poet who shaped the industry. The other was the Texas traditionalist, the vocal purist who became a benchmark for every other singer. They moved in the same world, but it was their shared love for the heart of country music that would eventually bring their journeys together. In Nashville, the bond between a songwriter and a singer is sacred. A great song is a story waiting for the right voice to bring it to life. A great singer can take those words and melody and turn them into something everybody feels. For decades, Bill Anderson has been the one crafting those stories of life, love, and loss with a poet's touch. Just think about the sheer range of his work. He could write a simple, devastating line in "The Tip of My Fingers," a song that was a top 10 hit for 4 different artists in 4 different decades. He could capture the gut-wrenching pain of "Whiskey Lullaby," which became a CMA Song of the Year for Brad Paisley and Alison Krauss. He could tell a story as rich as a short novel, like he did in Saginaw, Michigan. Bill wasn't just writing songs. He was building entire worlds in 3.5 minutes. On the other side of that equation is a singer like Gene Watson. Watson was famously picky about his songs. For a vocalist of his caliber, a song isn't just a shot at a hit. It's something he has to live with for the rest of his career. Watson once explained his process this way. Traditional country is about life, heartaches, loves, and family. I've got to relate to the words as something that either happened to me or happened to someone I know. I want more out of a song. And that philosophy? It's the whole key. Watson was searching for songs with weight and soul. He wasn't interested in pop country fluff. He wanted music that had something to say. His recording process was old school. He'd often record live with his band in the room, skipping the vocal booth to capture the raw energy of the moment. He wasn't just singing notes, he was living inside the song. It was this shared dedication to the emotional core of country music that made the pairing of a Bill Anderson song and a Gene Watson vocal almost inevitable. Anderson wrote the kind of rich, story-driven lyrics a singer like Watson could really dig into. And Watson had the kind of powerful, nuanced voice that could turn a great song into an unforgettable classic. It was a perfect storm of talent, just waiting for the right song to bring them together. Every great musical partnership has that one song, the one that perfectly captures their magic. For Bill Anderson and Gene Watson, it's the haunting ballad, "When a Man Can't Get a Woman Off His Mind." This song is more than just a deep cut. It's the heart of their story. The song was co-written by Bill Anderson and another brilliant songwriter, Sharon Vaughn. It's a classic country heartbreaker about a man tormented by a memory he can't shake. The lyrics paint a desperate picture. "I've been fighting with these sheets again, can't make myself lie still. My pillowcase is soaking wet, and yet I feel a chill. It gets crazy when a man can't get a woman off his mind." It's a masterclass in showing the agony of heartbreak. One of the song's best lines even has its own legend. The line, "I just crushed a Dixie cup for running out of wine," is a perfect snapshot of helpless frustration. On his website, Anderson shared that he and Vaughn had the first verse and chorus done. While she took a break, he came up with a new line, "I just cussed a Dixie cup for running out of wine." Vaughn loved it, but suggested one tiny, brilliant tweak. And with that, the final, more powerful image was born. The song was first recorded by Craig Morgan in 2000. But the story goes that Gene Watson was at the Grand Ole Opry one night when the singer Jimmy C. Newman told him he had to hear this track on Morgan's album. Watson listened, and as he put it, "I was hooked." He knew he had to cut it. But here's where the story takes a classic music business turn. Watson recorded the song, but before it could be properly released, his record label abruptly shut down its country division. The song and Watson's incredible master recording was trapped in legal limbo. The track was dead in the water. A great performance, however, never really dies. The song was resurrected during a taping of Country's Family Reunion, the beloved TV series hosted by Bill Anderson himself. The episode was a tribute to Bill's songwriting, and when it was Gene Watson's turn, he chose to sing "When a Man Can't Get a Woman Off His Mind." The audience was absolutely mesmerized. As Watson recalled, "Boy, after that, everybody that saw that TV show wanted to buy the song. The fan demand was overwhelming. They had heard the perfect marriage of a classic country song and a classic country voice, and they wanted it." Finally, after years of requests, Watson went back into the studio and re-recorded the song for his album Real Country Music. It was pure traditional country, dripping with the fiddle and steel guitar that perfectly fit his voice. Listening to Watson's version, you hear exactly why it connected. He doesn't just sing the lyrics, he lives them. It's the kind of performance that makes a songwriter's work feel truly complete. No wonder Bill Anderson would later say to Gene, "I treasure those recordings because you're everybody's favorite singer, and it's such an honor to have you sing something that I wrote." While When a Man Can't Get a Woman Off His Mind is their most famous collaboration, it wasn't the only one. A look through their catalog shows a quiet but consistent partnership. Watson didn't just record one Bill Anderson song, he recorded several, each time finding something in Anderson's writing that spoke to his. Another standout is Mama Essie,